The hour of convening having arrived, all members will please come to the floor of the House. All members will please come to the floor of the House and take their seats, and the clerk will ring the bell. All members will come to the floor. We're going to have the call of the roll. All members will vote green to signify their presence in the chamber, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. Doorkeepers will please close the doors and keep them closed. We will have scripture reading and prayer by the chaplain, after which we will pledge allegiance to the flag. Our chaplain this morning will be introduced by the representative from the 12th District, Representative Rick Jaspers from Pickens County. Representative Jaspers.
Good morning. Well, during the last year in my service here, I've noticed a unique trait about our relationships with the pastor of the day. I can tell that there are friends. There are spiritual advisors, our confidants, Christian leaders, and most importantly, our friends. They're that special person back home we can talk to share joyous occasions and also those sorrowful moments when we need a friend. Our pastor today is my friend. It's Reverend Max Kaler. He's been a pastor for 39 years and is present in his 6th year as a senior pastor at the First United Methodist Church in Douglasville. That's right, Douglasville, not Jasper, where I'm from. Max was my pastor 28 years ago while he was serving the Lord in Jasper. We've kept close over the years, and he even served on my first campaign committee, and I appreciate him for that. He has a second home in Jasper, and the funny thing about it, he's along with almost every other minister who's ever served in Jasper moves back to Jasper, and Max will be one of those too. I'd like to recognize his wife, Miss Nellie Lou from Vienna originally, and their daughter, Mary Gray. Nellie Lou's really excited. She retired recently after 35 years in the classroom. Just a little bit about their kids. Their son, Max Edward Kaler, is a captain who, after 3 tours of active duty, is currently serving our country in the Joint Forces Command with NATO in Brussels, Belgium. And Mary Gray delights everyone with her presence, is currently attending the Bobby Dodd Institute. Max grew up in Dalton. He's a Bulldog fan. He's excited he's here today. He's also, most importantly, a very avid fan of the World Series champions, Cardinals. He's involved in every facet of life in Douglasville. And he wanted to mention for sure that he's on the board of the Georgia-Florida United Methodist Church Credit Union. Please join me in welcoming my friend and his family, the Georgia House of Representatives. Max?
Thank you, Rick, for those kind words. And Mr. Speaker and House, distinguished guests and visitors, it's a real privilege to come and be the chaplain of the day and to say thank you for having a moment of prayer and reflection before you start today. No matter what particular faith, just to be able to recognize that it's a difficult way of life just to try to make it on our own without spiritual guidance and some encouragement along the way. So just thank you for taking time to begin your deliberation and your work for a moment of prayer. It's really a wonderful day. I did not know until I got here. Somebody said, that's a beautiful tie. And I said, well, it is a Georgia tie, but every day is a Georgia day when you're, a bulldog. And sorry to all you tech guys up in the visitor center. But, and then to come to find out it is Larry Munson Day. Who could ever, thank you, Lord, for just blessing me this day to be here. Because you all remember that famous call, look at the sugar falling out of the sky. You guys hunker down just one more time. Well, I was in the end zone in Auburn when that was all taking place. So it's a wonderful time to be here this morning. Mr. Jaspers, Representative Jaspers, a lifelong friend. And when he was talking about running for office, I told him, I said, Rick, with all your experience as a county agent and all of those times in which you walked around in a pasture and didn't step in it, you'll be able to navigate just well down at the Capitol. And come to find out, he even sponsored a bill on chicken litter or some sort last year. I don't know what that's all about. So let's get down to a little bit of meditation this morning. I may not look like him, but I want to tell you, my name is Governor Rick Perry, and I'm running for President of the United States. And when elected, I'm going to get rid of 3 agencies. The first one is commerce. The second one is education. And the third one, gosh, I know there was 3. I just don't remember. Have you ever forgotten what you were going to say? Have you ever forgotten your ethics? Or maybe forgotten even your morals? Or maybe have you even forgotten the reason of why you are a state representative? I want to tell you about a man who never forgot his calling, his values, or his purpose in life. These are some of his accomplishments. He won 10 national championships in 12 years, 7 national championships in a row. He had an 88-game winning streak. He had 4 perfect seasons and appeared in 12 Final Fours in 14 years. Of course, I'm referring to the late UCLA coach, John Wooden. In his book, The Essential Wooden, he states, as a young man, success meant fame, power, and fortune. In the classroom, it was top grades. In sports, success was winning. In business, it was making big profits. And in politics, success was power. Isn't that the way that most of us would think about success? Coach Wooden adds in his book, what I learned as a young farm boy growing up in Indiana was doing your best. That is success. My dad, Joshua Wooden, told me, never try to be better than somebody else, but never cease trying to be the best you can. You have control over that, not the other. He taught me to judge my own success on the quality of my effort rather than on how I stacked up in comparison to someone else in the classroom, in basketball, or in life, concluded the coach. Beginning in 1934, when he developed his pyramid of success, Coach Wooden has been teaching that real success comes from the effort rather than the trophy. His players said he was most disappointed in them when they lost without giving their best. Speaking of the best, giving your best, Paul writes in Philippians 2:6 and following, referring to Jesus Christ, that he did not consider himself equal with God, something to be grasped or to use for his advantage, but he humbled himself by becoming obedient to death, even on a cross. He gave 100% effort in his life that we might give ourselves totally in the same way for and to others. Back a few months ago, we had a great flood over in Douglasville. It was really more water. I expected to see Noah most any day. It was a difficult time. We had people that wanted to help. And so there at the church and some others, we were the distributing area for water. 3 cars at a time, pull in, open the trunks, and you got 2 cases of water per person in the car. You would be surprised what people have in their trunks of the cars when you put that water in. But one of the things that I noticed was that we were appreciative of the water. And some of those folks who sold it to the county or who even gave it came and they parked their trucks so that when any picture would be made, which is probably common sense, you could see their logo. Matter of fact, one company who sent 2 trailer loads of water sent their own photographer and press group just to make sure that they would be known for giving water. I want to suggest to all of us this morning that success is more than just recognition or having your picture in the paper. As already mentioned, our daughter, Mary Gray, has developmental disabilities. And as she was graduated from high school, we were looking for a place in which she could get job training. And we were told about the Bobby Dodd Institute. Lifelong bulldog. You never did much pulling for Coach Dodd and the Jackets. You just didn't do it. But the morning that we went down there to register her that she had been accepted, they walked us into the conference room. They sat us down at a table, and there I was looking up at a life-size portrait of Coach Dodd. A life-size portrait of the famous pose of the coach on one knee in his shorts, holding a football with a whistle around his neck and that word tech across the front of his shirt. And I sat there and looked at that picture all the way through as we filled out those papers. Sometimes success is being a little bit uncomfortable, and sometimes success means having a lot of humility. As Representative Jaspers mentioned, that wherever I've served a local church, I've just seemed called to be involved in the community. From United Way to Boys and Girls, just what can you do to help make a difference? One of the ministries there in Douglasville that is not a large ministry, it's called the Hope Project. Women who have been battered and abused and who have been on drugs, who have lost their way. But yet there is a group that they can come and be part of that group and learn computer skills, get some spiritual direction, and have a chance for the first time in many of their lives to feel like they are valuable and that they've made a difference. When you see them walk down the aisle and receive a little certificate, you recognize the heart of making a difference with people. And I want to encourage you as house members this morning that there is a local ministry somewhere or organization in your community that could use your help, in which you could be involved to make a difference, so that the bills you pass and discuss, that you will actually really know and experience how the people you represent live more than just a photo op. So this morning, I ask you to have a better memory than Governor Perry. I invite you to be successful in the John Wooden way, to give 100% personal effort in your role as a lawmaker, and in so doing, as you give your 100%, your effectiveness and your success will make a difference as you represent the 10 million people of Georgia. God bless you. Let us pray. Almighty God, from Rayburn Gap to Tybee Light, we ask for your guidance and seek your divine providence upon our state and country. I lift up to you the members and families and the staffs of the 151st session of the Georgia House of Representatives. May you inspire them to give their best. We pray for the governor that he might be wise in his leadership, and we pray for the Senate in general who probably needs it most. So, gracious Lord, get this bunch moving, cause sine die is just around the corner. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Shape I'm in. How much money are we talking about?
Doorkeepers will unlock the doors. Chair recognizes the representative from the 134th District, the Vice Chairman of the Committee on Information and Audits, Vice Chairman Chokas.
Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Information and Audits has reviewed the journals of the previous legislative day and have found them to be correct.
Vice Chairman Chokas of the Committee on Information and Audits reports that the journal of the previous legislative day has been read and found to be correct. Is there any objection to the confirmation of the journal? The chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. The clerk will read the resolution establishing the order of business for the day.
Mr. O'Neill, the 146th, moves the following be established as order of business during the first part of the period of unanimous consent. Introduction of bills and resolutions. First reading reference to bills and resolutions. Second reading of bills and resolutions. Morning orders, privilege resolutions. Through the resolution.
Careful, because
it dawned on me yesterday afternoon.
Yeah.
Well,
that's not complicated.
Is there any objection to the adoption of the resolution establishing the order of business for the day? The chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. First reading of House bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 671 by Representative Oliver, the 83rd. Bill to be entitled Act, Minute Act establishing DeKalb County districts.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 703 by Representative Knight. Bill to be entitled Act, Minute Title 48 relating to sales and use taxes.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 704 by Representative Knight. 126, bill to be entitled Act, Title 48 relating to sales and use taxes.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 705 by Representative Dudgeon, 24th, bill to be entitled Act amending Code Section 20-171 relating to minimum direct classroom expenditures.
Education.
House Bill 706 by Representative Dudgeon, 24th, bill to be entitled Act amending Title 20 relating to elementary, secondary education. Yes, sir.
Education.
House Bill 707 by Representative Morgan, 39th, bill to be entitled Act amending Code Section 21-417 relating to presentation of identification to poll workers.
Governmental affairs.
House Bill 708 by Representative Epps, 140th, bill to be entitled Act amending Act creating Board of Commissioners in Jones County.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 709 by Representative Stevens, 164th, bill to be entitled Act amending Act providing for election of members of the Board of Education in Bryan County.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 710 by Representative Epps, 140th, bill to be entitled Act amending Act creating Board of Commissioners, Jones County.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 711 by Representative Lindsay, 54th, bill to be entitled Act amending Title 24 relating to privileges, change privileges relating to spousal privilege in criminal proceedings.
Judiciary.
House Bill 712 by Representative Jaspers, the 12th, bill to be entitled Act amending Act creating Board of Commissioners, Pickens County.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 713 by Representative Nix, 69th, bill to be entitled Act amending Title 20 relating to Quality Basic Education Act.
Education.
House Bill 714 by Representative Amerson, the 9th, bill to be entitled Act amending Title 31 relating to general provisions relating to health.
Health and Human Services.
House Bill 715 by Representative Riley, 50th, bill to be entitled Act amending Title 48 relating to municipal taxation.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 716 by Representative Long, 61st, bill to be entitled Act amending Title 12 relating to air quality to provide collective emission limitations of facilities.
Natural Resources and Environment.
House Bill 717 by Representative Houston, 170th, bill to be entitled Act amending Title 4 relating to dangerous dog controls.
Judiciary Non-Civil.
House Bill 718 by Representative Peake, 137th, bill to be entitled Act amending Title 50 relating to the Department of Economic Development, create the Georgia Capitol.
Insurance.
House Bill 719 by Representative England, 108th, bill to be entitled Act amending Act providing appropriations, Georgia Appropriations Act.
Appropriations.
House Bill 720 by Representative England, 138th, bill to be entitled Act amending Act providing appropriations state fiscal year.
Appropriations.
House Bill 721 by Representative England, 108th, bill to be entitled Act making provide appropriations state fiscal year.
Appropriations.
House Bill 722 by Representative England, 108th, bill to be entitled Act may provide appropriations state fiscal year.
Appropriations.
Through the first readers.
Second reading of House bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
HB 668 by Representative Spencer, the 180th, a bill relating to temporary assistance for needy families. HB 673 by Representative Mitchell, the 88th, a bill to enact Georgia's Return to Fair Play Act of 2012. HB 675 by Representative Cooper, the 41st, a bill relating to nurses. HB 679 by Representative Spencer, the 180th, bill relating to enact the Georgia Constitutional Carry Act of 2012. HB 683 by Representative Willard, the 49th, a bill relating to garnishment proceedings. HB 685 by Representative Maddox, the 172nd, bill relating to animals. HB 687 by Representative Taylor, the 79th, bill relating to general provisions for law enforcement officers and agencies. HB 688 by Representative Holt, the 112th, bill relating to public utilities and public transportation. HB 689 by Representative Horn of the 71st, a bill relating to local boards of education. HB 690 by Representative Smith of the 70th, a bill to amend an act creating a Board of Commissioners, Coweta County. HB 691 by Representative Mitchell of the 88th, a bill relating to prosecution of parties who did not directly commit the crime. HB 692 by Representative Mitchell of the 88th, a bill relating to elementary and secondary education. HB 693 by Representative Burns of the 157th, a bill to amend an act for the election and creation of Board of Education, Board of Commissioners, Scranton County. HB 694 by Representative Smith of the 70th, a bill to amend an act providing for the composition of Board of Education in Coweta County. HB 695 by Representative Stevens of the 164th, a bill relating to free license plates and revalidation decals for disabled veterans. HB 696 by Representative Stevens of the 164th, a bill relating to free license plates and revalidation decals for certain disabled veterans. HB 697 by Representative Stevens with 164th, a bill relating to unemployment compensation benefits. HB 698 by Representative Stevens with 164th, bill relating to general provisions relative to public assistance. HB 699 by Representative Stevens with 164th, bill relating to general provisions relative to public assistance. HB 700 by Representative Purcell with 159th, the bill to amend an act reconstituting the Board of Education of Effingham County. HB 701 by Representative Nix of the 69th, a bill to amend an act creating the Board of Commissioners of Troop County. HB 702 by Representative Nix of the 69th, the bill to amend an act providing Board of Education for Troop County. HR 1094 by Representative Riley of the 50th, the resolution opposing state bailouts for the federal government. HR 1103 by Representative Sims of the 119th, the resolution honoring the life of Deputy James D. Paw and dedicating a road in his memory. Through second readers.
That's for you. House will come to order. House will come to order. We only have two that have signed up for morning orders. We're going to do those, and then we have a very special resolution with some very special and distinguished guests that we want to honor and pay a little tribute. Chair recognizes for a morning order together Representatives Brockway and Dudgeon for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Representative Riley is going to join us as well. Today, in addition to being Larry Munson Day, is Georgia Tech Day here at the Capitol. And what a coincidence. Up in the gallery, we've got a large number of students here who are with us, and fine young men and women who are working hard at Georgia Tech on their degrees. We did introduce a resolution recognizing Georgia Tech, and Representative Dudgeon drafted that for us. And I just want to mention that we're obviously very proud of Georgia Tech, but also the economic impact that Georgia Tech has is tremendous. When you get inside the state of Georgia as well, but outside the state of Georgia, the reputation around the world as being one of the leading technological institutions is fantastic. Just the other day, I was at my Gwinnett County Republican Party meeting, and Nick Messina, who's the head of the economic development at the Gwinnett County Chamber of Commerce, was talking about his travels. He's an Ohio State grad, and he said he was shocked when he got here and started traveling around to other parts of the country, and everywhere they went, they said, "Oh, you're from Atlanta? That's Georgia Tech. That's where Georgia Tech is." So the reputation is fantastic, and that's something that we can all be proud of. I have some stickers here for anybody who wants them. They've been in hot demand. I've only have a few left. And where's Representative Wilkinson? There you go. All right, well, here you go. But I have to save one for my good friend Representative Wilkinson. I've got one saved for you, Joe, so thank you very much. Thank you. Mike, you want to say anything? Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Oh, yeah, if y'all could recognize the students, y'all just go ahead and stand up. We've got many of the students there and the president of the student body there. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We've got one for you, too.
And I promise you that there is no coincidence in terms of the tribute that we're going to do here in a few minutes. Chair recognizes for a morning order Representative Barbara Reese. Representative Reese. Let's give the lady your attention, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the House. Cancer is the number 2 killer in Georgia, second only to heart disease. But Georgia and its citizens can make a difference in this fight to eliminate the threat of cancer. You have on your desk an invitation to a press conference to be held at 2 o'clock this afternoon on the second floor in the South Wing with advocates for finding a cure for cancer, and with members from the Georgia Cancer Coalition. In the year 2000, this legislature put in place legislation that would provide for a cancer checkoff box on your income tax form, your state income tax form. That would apply to research for ovarian cancer, breast cancer, and prostate cancer. In 2009, this body passed legislation that would expand that donation to research to cover all forms of cancer. Since 2001, when the box appeared on the tax forms, over $4 million has been donated to the Georgia Cancer Coalition. This is important not only because of the pilot studies that are being done across the state, but because it's seed money that in turn allows our college institutions and our researchers to apply for federal grants from the government and federal foundations. In the past 10 years, over $12 million has been awarded in study grants to researchers right here in Georgia. There have been 71 grants given to research institutions. So if you would like to do a press release for your local news media, J.D. Easley would be glad to do that for you. And we need to get the word out so that we can collect more and fight this terrible disease. Thank you for having me.
Chair recognizes to introduce the doctor of the day, Representative Ben Watson. Representative Watson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is my honor and privilege to recognize a friend of mine, Dr. Dan DeLoach. Dr. DeLoach did his residency at the same place I did at Memorial Medical Center and went and finished his plastic surgery residency in Tennessee. He graduated medical school from the Medical College of Georgia, now the Georgia Health Sciences University. I did want to clarify from yesterday about using the hand sanitizers before I let Dr. DeLoach say a couple words. It does take care of almost every virus, almost every bacteria out there. There is one exception with the Clostridia difficile colitis, and that is not a very common illness. It is becoming more common. So certainly hand washing is the preference, but if that is not available, then using the hand sanitizers is the preference. So without further ado, I'd like to recognize our doctor of the day, Dr. Dan DeLoach.
Thank you, Dr. Watson. It is an honor and privilege to be here with you today. I thank you for the opportunity. First of all, I want to thank you for all the good work that you do for our patients across the state of Georgia. As you know, we are soon to be facing a fairly significant health care shortage in the state, and I know that you guys ladies are going to have your hands full solving that problem, and I do want you to know that the medical profession is here to help you in any way that we can. So thank you for what you do for our patients, and again, it's an honor to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you, sir. Good to see you again.
This House will come to order. I want all members to return to their seats or leave the floor if you have business to take care of. I'm not going to ask the clerk to read a resolution, but we're going to take up a resolution here in a moment. But before we do, I'm going to ask the clerk to play a video presentation. House will be in order.
Here we come up to the line. The stadium rocks and rolls. There's no way we can do it with 1 second. Snap. We pick up the blitz. And Bobo throws that thing in the end zone. Now one of the receivers goes in motion, and Damian Craig takes a snap, and he's coming wide outside. Going to go for 2. Snap. Bobo. Flipped it. Try for a field goal. End around. We're running a reverse the other way. Here comes Hines Ford. And the kick is going to miss. He missed it. And the clock runs out. He got a block. He scored. They knocked him upside down in a somersault. Touchdown! Touchdown in the goal line! And we come up and we hit him shy on the 16-yard line, and we've stopped him, and we have won this thing in overtime. There are a few things in life I enjoy more than a beautiful fall afternoon, watching 2 great teams do war on the gridiron. For over 50 years, I've had the good fortune to be around college football. In many ways, it defines my life. From Wyoming to Nashville to Athens, I've left a part of myself all across the nation, painting the picture behind the microphone. I've tried to let the fans to live the action through my words, as if they were on the field themselves. Some people have called my Homer style old school. I think I'd call it a will to win. 25, 20, 15, 10, touchdown! I've been fortunate to be part of many great teams and witness dozens of historic moments, memories recalled vividly in the minds of millions. But it's more than just one great play, one emotional call that makes a broadcast memorable. Dozens of factors must fall into place. The setting has to be just right. The intensity has to be at a supreme level. And most of all, the Bulldogs have to be at the top of their game.
Touchdown! Appleby to Washington, 80 yards. Appleby, stand around. Just stop, planted his feet and threw it. And Washington caught it, thinking of Montreal in the Olympics, and ran out of his shoes right down the middle, 80 yards. Gator ball rocking, stunned. The girders are bending now. It's set down. He puts it up. It looks good. Watch it. Watch it. Yeah, 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 yeah. 3 seconds left. Rex Robertson put him ahead 17 to 16. The bench is unconscious. He kicked the whatchamacallit out of it. Handed off to Herschel. There's a hole. 5, 10, 12. He's running over people. Oh, you heard it. My God almighty, he ran right through 2 men. Herschel ran right over 2 men. They had him dead away inside the 9. Herschel Walker went 16 yards. He drove right over Orange Church, just driving and running with those big thighs. My God, a freshman. Georgia students and fans standing and roaring. 23, 22, 21. Clock running. Oh, look at the sugar falling out of the sky. Look at the sugar falling out of the sky. We're holding it on our own 49 and a half. Going to try to kick it 60 yards, plus a foot and a half. And Butler kicked a long one. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Florida in a stand-up fire. They may or may not blitz. They won't. Buck back, 3rd down on the 8. In trouble. Got a block behind him. Going to throw on a run, complete to the 25, to the 30. Lindsey's got 35, 40. Lindsey's got 45, 50, 45, 40. Run, Lindsey. 25, 20, 50, 10, 5. Lindsey's got. You know, this game has always been called the world's greatest cocktail party. Do you know what is going to happen here tonight? And up at St. Simon's and Jekyll Island and all those places where all those dog people have got these condominiums for 4 days. Man, is there going to be some property destroyed tonight.
Tennessee playing what amounts to a 4-4 fake. And there's a touchdown! Touchdown, my God, a touchdown! We threw it to Haynes. We just stepped it with 5 seconds left. My God almighty, did you see what he did? We just stepped on their face with a hobnail boot and broke their nose.
3 wideouts. Man, we've had some shots, haven't we? Snap to David Green. There he goes in the corner again, and we jump up. Touchdown! Oh, God, a touchdown! In the corner! With 85 seconds, somebody went up high. My legacy at Georgia, I hope would be, is something I heard said about me once on Georgia television. They said I was like the 12th man on the team. Now, that's not a brand new statement. It's not been invented here. It's been said by other schools and teams around the country. But I liked the sound of it the first time I heard it, that I might be Georgia's 12th man. I've pulled my insides out trying to win. Being a part of the fans and part of the people, that's the way I'd like to be remembered. You know, I have been fortunate to call many of the greatest moments in Georgia football history. The Mark Richt era has provided a new generation of fans with unforgettable memories, and it's been my pleasure, my luck, to paint the picture for all of those special occasions. From hobnail boot to the SEC championship seasons, glory, glory has really returned to old Georgia. After 4 decades of sharing the passion with the red and black faithful, I still treasure every fall Saturday between the hedges. Now, as the Bulldog program continues to excel, I look forward to more great calls, maybe some more luck, and exciting new memories. You know, 30 years really goes by pretty quick, but I got some great, great memories. And when I think back to anything I've ever said or any call I've ever made, it really came because I've wanted to win so badly. And I've loved my time here at Georgia. It's been the best of my life. And when the time comes that I can't do this anymore, I hope Bulldog fans remember I was always looking out for them. And whenever they see the red and black running out onto the field, I hope they know a part of me is out there too.
It's an honor for me to welcome to the podium Jonathan Munson, the son of Larry Munson, and Grant Munson, his son, and his wife Lisa. And the fellow in the end I think needs no introduction, but I'll introduce him in a minute. That's Lauren Smith. Larry Munson was one of the great Georgians of the 20th century and even into the 21st century. You know, many of those calls up there, I had the pleasure of being present for, and I can't remember watching them, but I can remember listening to the way he described them. Listening to Larry Munson on the radio was literally better than being there. And the great thing I think about him as a professional is that in an era when anybody, it seems, can get into, I don't mean to be critical here, and I'm not, but, you know, we've got a booth filled with ex-football players and athletes, but Larry Munson did it in an era of radio when he had to really paint the picture, and he did it for a long, long time, and he did it great. And I think his final statement was, if you notice on the resolution, And remember, when he passed, he waited till the day after we had secured the SEC East Championship this year. And that was Larry. So it's an honor for us to pay tribute to this great Georgian today who was in the broadcast booth at the University of Georgia for many, many years, beginning in 1966. And so we're going to hear briefly from Jonathan, but first, what do you got, Lauren?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, whom I now refer to as Speaker Dog.
I'll take that.
I'd like to depart, Mr. Speaker, for just 1 second to say it's nice to be here and see old friends. Every time I come, I get a little lift. But it's special when you see old friends like Susan Holmes, Representative Holmes, because her husband, Paul, who played for us, is upstairs monitoring everything today. I want to tell you a quick story about him that I think you'll enjoy. Coach Butts once told me, when I asked him what kind of player Paul was, he said, "I don't think he ever made but one tackle in his career at Georgia. And I don't think he'd have made that one if the guy hadn't have called for a fair catch." The University of Georgia family and the Munson family thank you for paying tribute to our unforgettable friend. Somewhere we know that he is smiling. For over 35 years, I had the unique pleasure of seeing the Bulldogs up close and hearing Larry in my headset. He was a colorful, unforgettable character for sure. He grew up in Minnesota, but he became the quintessential Bulldog. For a few weeks before he died, I went out to see him with Charlie Whittemore, who was his best friend on the Athletic Association staff. Larry wasn't feeling well, but his spirits were fine, and he was vintage Munson when Charlie suggested, this was before the Florida game, that Georgia would win the rest of the games and play for the SEC championship. Larry raised his head up off the pillow and his voice as firm as ever, "Have you lost your mind?" Now, the network announcers have to play it straight. But if you're the Bulldog announcer, you better let it be known that you're for the Dogs. And nobody took that more seriously than Larry. He took homerism to a new level, which we all appreciated. But I remember him for all of the great calls that he made, the hobnail boot, sugar falling from the sky, and all of those things. But the time that I perhaps am fondest of was an afternoon when we went fishing in Newton County at his favorite lake. Got out on the lake, and it was a little windy. And he began to complain and fret about the wind. It's out of the north, and I don't like it. It's going to drive those big bass down 7, 8, 9, 10 feet. So he talked, when we went fishing, like he did the broadcasts. So I appreciated so many things about Larry. And on that fishing trip, he talked to me about his daddy. And he had just gotten a tackle box in the mail that his sister shipped him, that he had fished with his dad in that tackle box as a boy in Minnesota. And he said, that's when I feel that I could communicate with my dad again. Him and me out on the lake, the water lapping against the boat. Says, I come here and I tell him how I remember and appreciate those times. So the morning that I got the news that Larry had left us, I have early habits, grew up on a farm, so I got up and I learned it from the Athens papers, its headlines. So I immediately looked for the North Star. Couldn't find it, but I thought of Larry because he could find the North Star easily growing up in Minnesota. So I went inside, built a fire, and I had a conversation with Larry. because I thought about how wonderful he was for the University of Georgia and what he meant, being the great ambassador, not thinking in those terms, but just doing what came natural to him, calling a great game on radio. I like to say, Larry being a fisherman, that he's just gone ahead of us. He's right around the bend, scouting new waters for those of us who will come along a little later. I have always felt that the thing that sets an announcer apart is his feelings for his school being on his sleeve, and also how others look at him. The people who were Georgia's opponents all these years had great respect for Larry, and I've thought about it a lot of times. They were envious of the rapport that he had with the Georgia people. But I think one of the reasons they respected him was that while he loved the Bulldogs, and he spoke passionately for them, as you know, and remember, he never knocked another school. And I think those other schools, jealous of him, appreciated that he had that kind of class. Everybody at the University of Georgia is grateful to you today for recognizing our friend Larry. And I think you'll agree when I say that we'll miss him, but aren't we glad he came our way? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lauren. Was not the only class act on that team. I told Jonathan Munson earlier today how much we were honored to have him here, and I said, you know, I think it's probably pretty cool that even though his voice may have been quieted, the voice of Larry Munson will never, ever die in the state of Georgia. Please help me welcome to the podium to present a resolution, Jonathan Munson.
Well, good morning. First thing you're probably realizing is that I do not sound like my dad. It is an honor to be here this morning. It's a great privilege. Let me just share just a quick story as I was standing here. You know, what was it like to be Larry Munson's son? You know, what was he like when he was not on the radio? And my answer to that question is he really was not that different. I thought one of my dad's greatest strengths in broadcasting and all the examples that we just saw on the video screen was Dad's authenticity. He was who he was, just like Lauren just referred to. When you go fishing with him, when you're going out to eat with him, when you're going to see a movie with him, that's just Dad. These things just come out of his mouth. Let me give you an example. My wife and I were living in Birmingham at the time, and Georgia was coming to Alabama to play the Crimson Tide back in 2002, I believe. And I was so excited because my dad was going to be coming to see my first home, and we were going to kind of show him the area of where we lived. And anyway, so we picked him up at the hotel, and we're just starting to drive him around. And about that time, a car pulls in front of me and cuts us off, and I have to slam on the brakes. And without hesitation, Dad turns to me and says, "Don't kill me, I'm famous." So the man just had a way of exuding kind of one-liners and, you know, hobnail boot, run Lindsay run, sugar falling from the sky. That was my dad, 24/7. That's just who he was. A lot of fun. It's obviously been a difficult past couple months for the family and just remembering all the great times. But I treasure the memories that I have of my father. It's an honor to be here today. He'd be very proud. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you very much. Jonathan, on behalf of the co-author of this resolution, Chairman Wilkinson, and myself, on behalf of the House, I'm honored to present to you this resolution paying tribute to Larry Munson.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Clerk will read the caption to a group of privileged resolutions.
Resolution by Representative Chanel, 116th, recognizing and commending Dr. Joan Antone. Resolution by Representative Williamson, 111th, honoring and remembering the life of Reverend Patrick Timothy Acree. Resolution by Representative Stevens, 164th, recognizing January 24, 2012 as Tourism Hospitality Day at the state capitol and commending the tourism industry of Georgia. Resolution by Representative Oliver of the 83rd, recognizing and commending Holy Innocents Episcopal Church. A resolution by Representative Williams, 165th, honoring the life and memory of Sheriff Cecil Nobles through the privileged resolutions.
Is there objection to the adoption of the privileged resolutions? The chair hears none. The resolutions are adopted. Okay, we're going on to announcements. Chair recognizes the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, Chairman Willard, for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me, if I might, from the well, address you, Mr. Speaker. Dr. Hook in the Medicine Show had a great song years ago, "Want to See My Picture on the Cover of the Rolling Stone." And as it comes on the radio in the car, I'll be blaring it out and singing top of my voice. And Mr. Speaker, you and the other lawyers in this audience will not have the opportunity to be on the cover of the Rolling Stones, but if you will meet with me on the steps of the south side of the Capitol, we'll see to it that you get your picture on the cover of the Georgia State Bar Journal. And you can buy 5 copies of that for your mother. All lawyers meet us at the end of this session on the south steps for the photograph. Thank you.
Chair recognizes for an announcement Chairman Reinders. Chairman Reinders.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A reminder, Health and Human Services will meet this afternoon at 3:30 in room 606 of the Coverdale Legislative Office Building. Room 606. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Chairman Sims for an announcement. Chairman Sims.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House. I know you got your alligator on your table or on your desk. We'll be there tonight from 5 to 8 at Railroad Depot. Come by and get whatever you want. What's down there? We love you. Thank y'all. God bless you.
We've had, with all of the organizational work we've had this week, we have kind of missed a couple of birthdays, and I need to give shout outs to those. We've had birthdays this week for Representative Wilkerson. Representative Wilkerson, happy birthday. Birthday this week for Representative Lee Anderson. Representative Anderson. Also, I don't think he's here, but Representative Terry Johnson. And today is the birthday of the chair of the House Majority Caucus, Chairman Sheldon. Happy birthday. We had one more announcement. Chair recognizes Representative Dobbs for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just would like to remind all the members of the Women's Caucus that we have our first meeting today at noon in room 514 in the LOB. Lunch will be served, and we have a lot of business to discuss, so I hope that everyone will attend. Thank you.
That appears to be all the morning orders and all of the announcements. I know we've got committees that are going to be busy today and tomorrow. The chair recognizes the Majority Leader of the House for a motion.
Speaker, I move this House now adjourn until 10 a.m. Thursday, January 12, 2012.
On the motion of the Majority Leader that this House adjourn until 10 a.m. on Thursday, January the 12th. All those in favor of the motion will please say aye. All those opposed will say no. The ayes clearly have it. This House will be adjourned until Thursday, January 12 at 10 a.m.